Welcome to the Out of State Birds podcast. I'm your co-host Jabal with these other lovely co-hosts who are going to introduce themselves.
I'm Juan Forno. I was the dude that forgot to hit record, so now we were going through this a second time.
I'm Jesse Geddes. I'm the guy who made a really good Aaron Hernandez joke that was not recorded, thankfully.
It's gone. They'll never know.
Not to spoil it, but we were talking about Jason Kelce retiring. It's a sad day for Birds fans, and Jesse made it sadder by bringing up murder.
Yeah, it is sad. He's sad, but he'll make plenty of podcast money and spend the rest of his life with his two baby girls and his wife.
Yeah, it's not sad. That guy's doing his best.
Yeah. He's living the dream, as you say.
I think he's gonna enjoy retirement. I also think he's gonna be around the facility. I think he loves Philly so much. Obviously, his wife there is also, she grew up a Philly fan. She's from Philly. I don't see them leaving the city. I don't see him not being around the facility. Maybe in an advisory role to Jeffrey Lurie, maybe as a special assistant to the coaches, working with Jeff
maybe a defensive coordinator. Who knows?
Maybe a fucking defensive coordinator. Couldn't be worse.
Give it a shot. You know what I mean? Give it a shot. You might know.
We're just handing DC titles to whoever nowadays.
So does he just have two pencils behind the ear, like double the Matt Patricia?
I think so. I think he's gonna have to. Let me ask you guys this, and obviously we'll talk more about Jason and the great things he's done with his career. But what was more disappointing, or what was more of a dumpster fire? Matt Patricia as a defensive coordinator with the Eagles, or Matt Patricia as an offensive coordinator with the Patriots?
Or as a head coach with the Lions?
Dude, I think Matt Patricia, I just don't like him. As soon as we signed him, I was like, what? I remember thinking, I was like, this guy? Him and Slay hate each other.
That's true.
I feel like he's like the boyfriend of one of your friends, and you're just like, oh, this guy's such a douchebag, but I got to be nice to him.
Yeah. And also, he has a pencil that he uses, but his play sheet is laminated. What are we doing? What are
immediately disqualified.
Get my man a marker. Get him a marker.
I don't think Sirianni ever asked him what's with the pencil.
Someone had to. Someone over the last 20 years has had to ask this man why a pencil. And I'm sure he's got some 1970s answer for it, with some kind of real man answer for why he has a pencil.
It is crazy how you go from 10-1 to then 10-3, having two bad performances against two really, really good teams.
Dude, I think we changed defensive coordinators on a whim. We felt we had a little bit of trouble. Then we changed defensive coordinators, and then it went to shit.
It was too much panic. It was way too much panic. Yeah. It was way too late in the season to be doing that shit. I don't know why that was sassy there, but
we were 10-1 with what's his name, DeSassy. We were 10-1 with him as defensive coordinator.
10-1, man. And it's okay, you dropped two, and they weren't good games, but you dropped two to two of the best teams in the entire league, not just the NFC, right? It's not like they were losing to these scrubs like they did at the back half of the season. They lost to Dallas and San Francisco, two top contenders. And then they panicked, and it was a bad move. Fuck
Who knows? Maybe Belichick would be our defensive coordinator.
I mean, I would take it, but there's no way Belichick is wins away from the record for head coaches. He's not taking a fucking quarter.
What if he's just it's too much work? I just want to do defense. Let me sell it to him. We'll give you the same amount of money. Oh yeah,
he's gonna need 3-4 seasons to get those 15 wins down there, man.
I heard he had an 8-hour meeting with the Falcons. I was like, just sign him.
What do you need to ask him?
That's way too long.
He knew what he was doing. He went on Arthur Blank's yacht for 8 hours. He was just getting more ring cam footage.
I want to know who's interviewing who in these interviews.
Oh, true. I think he's interviewing the team. He's like, what y'all got over here? What y'all got over here, dude?
Atlanta's ready to give him a blank check. They don't even have a quarterback or any idea how to use their top 10 offensive picks with Ted Robbins.
That day they didn't tell us Dijon was sick or something.
Oh
ruined
yeah.
my fantasy.
Sick of it.
I'm so mad.
It's like, bro, you could have let us know he was questionable.
What?
Yeah.
What the heck?
That's
Well,
that's on you for drafting a rookie.
would Belichick even do the GM role down in Atlanta too?
I
He's
think in
gonna
a
want
place like
full
Atlanta,
control,
yeah.
I think. Yeah, I think he's gonna want full power.
Yeah.
He's come in like a new dictator.
And I know a lot of people are like mocking him to the Eagles. I think there's a lot of people that think he's going to go to Philly. Howie's safe. There's
Yeah.
no discussion about Howie right now.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I don't think Harry or Nick are going anywhere. I just think the coordinators, which I don't know. You guys have any suggestions on who's going to be a new coordinator? I don't follow coordinator markets. I've never followed it. I don't know what's going on.
you know, a little bit. Like I think our current offensive coordinator could be the answer. I don't. The only thing that worries me is they didn't make adjustments.
Mhm.
It's true.
It was no secret how defenses were trying to beat them. It was very. We said last week, Todd Bowles is going to blitz the shit out of them, and then sure enough, I mean, so much so that they ended up with a fucking safety. Like that just shouldn't happen when you're paying a quarterback $55 million a year, and you have the offensive line that we have. If I'm not mistaken, it was a 3-man rush as well to make matters worse. Like it's just that's not good enough. So if Sirianni's sticking around, I think the OC has to go. Even if it wasn't his fault, somebody's gotta pay the price for what
Yeah, I
happened.
think Sirianni's going to let them both go. They're like to show that he's in control of the team or something.
Do you guys see
Criticism of
any?
actions?
Yeah, do you see any similarities to when Doug Peterson got let go?
I was kind of blindsided by that one. I'm not gonna lie.
Because it was
won a
what,
Super
2
Bowl.
years after the Super Bowl?
Yeah. And
I mean, Sirianni had him right there.
and he benched Jalen or whatever. Or he benched somebody for
He
somebody.
benched Wentz.
Yeah, he
to
benched
injury
Wentz
guarantee, and
for
then started
Jalen, and then bench Jalen for Minshew or something. It was just so we could lose that game. You know, it's funny.
Oh,
yeah,
You
it was
remember? You
the-
wanted to
Fuck, it was that third string that was around for forever.
Nate's something. I think it was
Sudfeld, yeah.
Or was it Ian Book? I forget which quarterback factory we're supposed to be running here.
Yeah, I
No,
forgot
it
what
was
happened
Nate
to that.
Sudfeld for sure.
Yeah.
What happened to that?
Ian Book was in preseason this year and got outperformed by Tanner McKee, that 6th-round pick.
Those 6-rounders, they'll sneak up on you.
Fucking Kelce was a 6th-rounder, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I think so. It's 6 rounds.
6 or 7. So, you know.
Well, and that's why Howie's safe no matter what. If you can get a 1st-rounder for Sam Bradford,
Yeah.
you stick around.
Honestly, I think one of Howie's best moves was trading up to get Jordan Mailata.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a kid that never played
call
football.
the Titans. Hey, he
Yeah.
was good over there. You get still good over there.
I saw him run through some motherfuckers' notepads on. So
Yeah.
should we revisit our predictions from last week?
What was mine? Was wrong.
Yeah, I think I did a 12-9, and then I was like, nah, 42-10, but I didn't realize it was going to go the other way.
For the wrong team. I think we were all lying to ourselves a little bit. I wanted to believe, but I think we all knew where it was headed.
Yeah, I was just trying to give it some hope, but it didn't happen. And after watching the Cowboy game, I knew it was a wrap for us. I was like, because my brother's a Cowboy fan, so of course I'm like, we're giggling, laughing at him, and the whole time I'm like, tomorrow's my day. I'm like, tomorrow's gonna be.
You're tempering the shit talk a bit. You're like, I gotta go a little bit.
I was thinking of my brother like, y'all still got a chance. Only up 26 points, like
27 on that half.
Oh,
who do you guys think is most to blame for the Cowboys' disappointing loss, and who's most to blame for the Eagles' disappointing loss in the playoff?
For the Cowboys, it's got to be probably Dak, honestly, and who's that? Micah Parsons. Only because Micah's always on TV getting like he's like the leader of the defense or whatever. And where were you, Doc? Like, what were you? Where was Dak when it mattered? Not in the second half, in the first half. When it comes to the Eagles, everybody's at fault. All right, everybody. And nobody down to the water board. All of y'all, it was wrong from the jump.
It seemed like the Eagles just could not get anything going the whole game. There's times where I'll watch games and I'll be like, okay, like there's a good play, like there's a big play, like now we're gonna get some momentum. There was one big play and then nothing the entire game.
Yeah, I think the Eagles' offensive game plan was Devontae Smith is downfield. Let's check it up and hope for the best. And that's all we got, and it was, you running these streaks to beat the blitz, but no hot routes, no underneath shit to Goddard. Couldn't get Goddard going. It did not appear as though they wanted to be there at all. None of them wanted to be there.
And a game can't run the ball twice, then let high-end talent receivers bail us out. You know what I mean? Like, which is, let's be honest, that's been our game plan all year. It's been like, we'll run the ball twice or a couple times. If we get a good amount of that, or even if we don't, Jalen gets 7 yards, or he doesn't, drop back, throw it to Brown or Devontae for 12 yards. You know what I mean? Like, how many 3rd and 11s did we do this year? When that's the whole scheme. There's no trickery. There's no like Tyreek Hill running, getting a head start kind of plays. It's all just
None.
Devontae and Brown get open, Jalen sling the ball or run it 6 yards. Like,
but the crazy thing too is like they didn't even utilize Brown and those 3rd and mediums, 3rd and shorts, where this guy built a career running slants over the middle. Like there's nothing over the middle. And I understand you want player longevity, and that's where you can get lit the fuck up. But you can't eliminate in between the hashes completely out of your offense. That's crazy. This is not going to work, man.
Do you think that they'll maybe go 3rd wide receiver or another tight end so they can kind of expose the middle of the field a bit more? Or
I don't know how much more you can improve the offense from a personnel standpoint.
This is true. We have Goddard still.
You got Goddard. You have 2 number 1 receivers in my books. I think if AJ Brown is not taking the majority of the targets, Devontae Smith is a 1,500 plus yard guy. There's not a lot of upgrades to be made on offense. You could make an argument about the running back because DeAndre Swift is a free agent. Who knows if he's coming back? I would guess not. I think he priced himself out much like Miles Sanders did last year. I think this is kind of what the running back position is going to be. Go draft a 3rd round pick so we got him for cheap for a couple years, or, find that veteran that maybe doesn't have a home that can run behind this offensive line,
I mean, you can also get a running back in the 5th round of the draft and put up 900 yards for you too.
Yeah, this is true.
Just go get a bruiser like Pacheco in like the late 6-7 round. Like it can happen.
Pacheco runs like the kid who's excited to get out to recess. It's amazing.
So funny. I love Pacheco, man. I hate that too. When you like, fuck, why didn't we draft that guy? We had so many chances to draft that guy.
Oh, Justin Jefferson.
Oh, that one's a whole different.
Dude,
I think our wounds are too fresh to discuss the Justin Jefferson.
Bro, I just remember being like, he dropped us? Amazing. Who the hell is Nelson Aguilar?
TCU.
I was like, oh.
Fucking TCU had a losing record that year, and I think he didn't clip 700 yards.
Yeah, that was the other guy. Oh my gosh, that was
brutal.
Anyway.
Brutal.
Anyway, who are we talking about? Who we blame the most? I blame Matt Patricia the most because I don't like his pencil.
Like if the D could get a 3 and out, right? Then the Eagles could actually build something, get a head of steam going. Or
maybe the secondary. I don't know. The secondary is so bad. Like what?
Dude, every time I saw a big play in that game, it was like, oh, it had to be Bradbury, and then sure as shit is Bradbury every fucking time.
What's a tackle? They had me studying philosophy. I didn't know what a tackle was.
He had no idea. Tackles.
Dude, it was brutal. It was.
The announcers were stunned. I've never seen the announcers say 7 plays in a row. Another broken tackle. Like what?
That is not even like, it's not even dudes. It wasn't Mike Evans. It wasn't Chris Godwin. It was just fucking Cade Otton.
Yeah.
It was the Parker kid. It's sad, man. Like, I don't know how you go from second team all pro to the very next year being the worst DB.
Dude,
starting.
He's making Eli Apple look great. You know what I mean?
Eli Apple would have looked great opposite of fucking James Bradbury.
I'm just saying.
Do you think it was mainly just teams figured out Sirianni's scheme on offense?
I think that's precisely what happened, and he was too stubborn to adapt because it worked for him last year. He's like, oh, it worked. It's going to work if we stick with it. And
because that's also what happens when you have a freak athlete of a quarterback. Sometimes I feel like they can rely on that athleticism too much instead of scheming up things to actually open up the rest of the offense. It was what they did with Josh Allen a few years ago. They're like, we're just going to have him run it if he can't throw it. And he was getting like 60, 70% of the team's yards.
Yeah, I can see that's what we're trying to make Jalen do. I can definitely see that. But Jalen's, I mean, as much as he could do that Josh Allen stuff, I feel like he's too level-headed to want to really do that. I think he wants to be in an offense that works the way a typical offense works. You know what I mean? Where he doesn't have to run 5 yards a down, or like a drive or a set of downs. Like what?
And I think that's my takeaway too, is Jalen Hurts does not strike me as the kind of guy, and obviously I don't know him personally, but he doesn't strike me as the kind of guy that really cares about his individual stats. Like he could throw for 115 yards in a game, and if they win, I think he's going to be cool. I think he's going to be, fun. It's fine.
If we could have got 200 yards rushing, yeah, he would have been fine with not getting laid out every third play.
Yeah. So I think there needs to be a central focus on what the offense looks like. I think they need to be aware that people are going to scheme to blitz Jalen Hurts to hope he makes mistakes. And to be fair, I don't think Jalen was a huge issue in that game. His counting stats were not bad. Obviously, the safety was unacceptable, but the coaches got to put them in better positions to succeed. Bottom line.
Just better plays, better scheming. And let's not be scared to give him normal dropbacks. Just a normal drop where you hit the, 1, 2, 3, throw the ball. Like, you know what I mean? We got all these like tricky, what do they call it? Not the run and gun, but
like
that thing with
RPOs.
The RPOs. Yeah, dude. I'm sick of RPOs. I'm over.
Well, considering they got 2 penalties on screen plays because of offensive linemen downfield, like obviously those plays are pretty low reward, high risk.
Yeah.
I feel like if they did a lot more from under center, they could do kind of like what McVay and Shanahan do, where you got to get the run going. But if you make it look like it's a run play, you're going to be able to confuse them. And then it also gives Jalen Hurts the excuse to get out of the pocket on those bootlegs and stuff like that. And similar to like Russell Wilson, but he's got the arm talent to make all those throws.
I think the RPO stopped working because nobody thought of Jalen as a running threat this year. For whatever reason that is, whether it was the knee, whether it was the contract, whether it was the coaching saying, hey, we're not going to put you in harm's way. It eliminates an aspect of the RPO, and then it's just, okay, well, we're not, reading the defensive end, whether he's keying on the quarterback or running back. And now that that's taken away, they can just key on that running back, crash on that running back, and then play man-to-man and hope for the best if they send enough guys. I mean, it is not that hard to beat them right now, obviously.
True. It's just it all can't just be that RPO, man. Like you got to have more than that.
Well, and they're useless if you're not actually running the ball, because then you don't have the threat of the run. You're just wasting 2 seconds of people swarming the line because they know you're going to throw it anyway.
Play action doesn't work if you don't actually run the ball ever.
Mm-hmm. True.
Defeats
but I feel like that's been a problem with the Eagles for most of my fandom ever since 2000 is that we love to pass the ball. Even when Andy was here, we just be passing the ball and passing it, and you're like, we gonna run it. Keep on passing it.
It's such a hypocritical philosophy to be like, oh, we're gonna build in the trenches and we want to have the best offensive line and we have the best offensive line coach, but also let's not run the ball despite the fact that we can rack up 200 plus yards on the ground every game at will, like they showed last year.
Yeah.
I don't know why they got away from that. Obviously, we speculated last week that maybe they were just trying to get Swift to stay healthy throughout the entire season. But now you're in the playoffs and there's no excuse. And, he ran all over Tampa Bay in week 3 and then
use them.
Why does he have 10 carries,
Yeah. The beginning of the game, 2 straight run plays, I think.
Yeah.
Nothing.
And also, Baker played lights out.
Baker was good. I've been telling people Baker was good, man.
Bro,
especially when he's got Mike Evans.
I've always liked him.
Godwin.
Baker played good because he played Philly's defensive backs. That's the only reason he looked good.
Like a fiddle, dude.
Detroit is going to pump Tampa Bay this week, for sure. The only reason Baker Mayfield looked as good as he did is because of who he was playing and the dysfunction on that defense. That's my opinion. There's a reason he's on his 3rd team in 3 years. Four teams, if I'm not mistaken, because he spent those couple of weeks with the Rams there.
I think Baker is like he's one of the worst of the good quarterbacks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fringe top 15 guy.
Yeah, like he's good, but like he's not gonna. I don't think he's gonna win no Super Bowl or nothing like that on his own.
I don't think he should have been able to do what he did to the Eagles.
I mean, with the defense I've been watching the last month, I was not sure. I was like, yeah, 100%. And then they just also, on top of all that, they stopped tackling. Like on top of it being bad, they just refused. They were like out here tackling like with their arms behind their back and stuff. You know what I mean?
And the Bucks didn't play clean, man. There was a lot of drop passes by the Buccaneers. It could have been so much worse had Mike.
Unlike the Cowboys, we were in the game for most of it.
Yeah, we were right there until the end. So it was a one possession game until he got that safety in the fourth quarter. It was one touchdown. It was right there. So
But isn't it that the Bucks were the only ones to defend the tush push, the brotherly shove twice?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they figured something out, and having Vita Vea helps.
You just know that it's just not your year when your secret play doesn't work twice. Like you're out of your superpower. You need to get some more gamma rays, whatever it is. It was not going to happen.
The second that they blew that tush push or brotherly shove, whatever you want to call it, I knew that was it. If we could, the juju was bad, man. If we couldn't do our 92% play,
that was the core memory where you're like, oh, this is going to be a bad game.
Let's switch it up a little positive. Brandon Graham, after the game, was interviewed, stated if Philly will have him back, he wants to do his farewell tour this year or next year, much like Kelce did this year. Thoughts on bringing Brandon Graham back for one more year?
I don't know his stats for this year, but if they're good, sure. But if we can't afford it, or like we want to move on younger, we should do it this year with Kelce. Set him off with Kelce.
Yeah, I think it was like 3.5 sacks, maybe 7 tackles for loss, 35% of the defensive snaps. Rotational guy, but also had a sack in the playoff game.
This is true.
And that's kind of what Howie does with those older guys too, right? Like he brings them back on the 1-year deals at a salary that kind of recognizes their contributions, has them rotational so they can build up the younger guys. So I definitely think he's going to be back for the next year because he wants to play. So Howie will bring him back so he can give him one more year of bringing along the young guys and put him in that rotational spot, similar to how he did with like Chris Long and stuff back when they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think you're right too. And if I'm not mistaken, Pro Football Focus had Brandon Graham ranked at like 17th defensive ends this year. So, as long as he's staying efficient, he doesn't even necessarily have the counting stats. You need leadership in that locker room and on that defense. Especially if a guy like Fletcher Cox is not coming back. We don't know yet. There's not much to signal whether he is or isn't, like the other guys there. But I hope he's back as long as it's in that rotational role that he's kind of been filling. And good locker room guy. So favorite Jason Kelce memory?
The Super Bowl speech, right? Yeah. Like he's got the outfit. He's dropping the F-bombs. He's just like, he's happy crying. He's just screaming at everybody.
Dog mask.
Yeah,
Kelce.
Dog masks.
Dog mask, Kelce.
I got to go with Fat Batman last year.
Fat Batman.
As a fat dude with a beard, I got to go with Fat Batman.
Or last week on his podcast, when Travis said he was making excuses and he got mad and got off the podcast. Did y'all see that?
You cut
little... So I think it was last week or during this losing stretch. He was saying why they lost the game, and then Travis, being his brother, was just like. Well, he was like, choo choo. Sounds like the excuse train. And then
he walked out.
And he got mad.
Jason was like, fuck this, I'm out.
Yeah, it's one thing for someone to talk shit about you losing a game. It's one thing for your brother to do it who won his game.
Who beat you at the Super Bowl. Like, he'll always, you got to retire now knowing that your brother has 2 Super Bowls. You have one, and he took one of those Super Bowls he took from you. You know what I mean? And like, that sucks. I'm not having Thanksgiving with him or Taylor Swift forever.
I think my favorite Jason Kelce thing is knowing that is going to be the best man at Taylor Swift's wedding. Like, that's the dude up there in the wedding party.
I mean, he was voted one of the sexiest men alive.
Top 5.
Hired than his brother, I believe.
That's a win for Fat bearded Batman everywhere.
But also,
look like Taylor got the wrong boyfriend. Is what I'm
right? Like I feel like they put Travis on there and be like, well, we can't put him. We got Jason. We got to put his little brother on. It's like you got to take your little brother to the mall. They're like, you got to take your little brother to the sexiest man alive.
Yeah.
Travis got the participation trophy for sexiest man alive.
Yeah, it's like when you call someone sexy, then a little brother or sister's there. They're like, "Oh, you too? Yeah, you're just as attractive as his
You
person."
handsome little fella, you.
But Chris Evans is your brother. Of course you're attractive too. But is Chris Evans here?
Do you guys feel like we need to change our defensive philosophy and not spending on linebackers?
We needed to do that. Or okay, we don't have to do that if we can find safeties that work in the scheme that works. If that can happen, then do that. If not, then yeah, I wouldn't mind a linebacker. You know, I wouldn't mind. Or maybe a hard hitting safety if those still exist. I don't know if they can with the rules, but
yeah.
What happened to Brian? What happened to the Brian Dawkins types of guys? You know what I mean?
Brown is not that far off, man. Sidney Brown and light a motherfucker up.
That's what I want. I want more of that. You know what I mean?
If you think of the years, the one where we won the Super Bowl, we had Malcolm Jenkins. The year we went to the Super Bowl last year, we had CJ Gardner. Like you need a quality safety who can kind of be like the Swiss Army knife to go all around the place to fill in the holes.
Yeah.
Like Sidney Brown's good, but he's a rookie. They're not putting him in those positions to fill the gaps and the holes where others aren't, to play like the nickel linebacker or cover the corners that are injured and take on the number one receivers. So,
and also we got to get them sacks. You know what I mean? Like we did not get the sacks this year.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go for it.
No, I thought I was gonna say I think Jesse is right. And both of you, to be honest with you, you know, not getting the same kind of pressure from the line, but also putting Sidney Brown in a position to not succeed. You know, they had him in the slot covering these, you know, quicker slot receivers, and his game is tackling, man. And it showed him not being on the field against Tampa Bay. He's a great tackler, and I think he's going to continue to progress. Hopefully the ACL injury doesn't hold him back next year. Probably not going to get him until week 5 or longer. I don't know, man. I think with the contract that TJ Edwards signed in Chicago, he should still be an Eagle based off of what we saw this year.
I mean, we got to get what happened to Nolan Smith. Is that's a linebacker? I would be a linebacker. I guess he's a rookie though.
Yeah, more of a Hassan Reddick type.
Was he injured though for the playoffs?
What's that?
Was Nolan injured or just they didn't put him in the lineup?
No, he played. He played decently, actually. He had like half a sack with Fletch. Yeah, he got some pressure. There was the one play he kind of had the running back about 10 yards deep, and the running back went around him, and then just nobody else was there.
Was it Dean? Was he hurt? I guess he was.
Nakobe Dean's out, yeah. Nakobe Dean.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we got some young, defensive talent, so I guess this wasn't the year for them all with the injuries and being young.
It felt like burnout once they got past the 11 games. Like it just felt like they were just like maybe expecting it to be easier, and then just nothing was coming together. They just couldn't overcome whatever was setting them off, whether it was play calling or just not trusting the coaches, whatever it was. It just didn't feel like they were in the games at all. Even the one they won, it felt like we're like, ugh, that should have been a loss.
Yeah, like I was like, yeah, it's like one of those games you win when you're like still mad. You're like, you won. Yeah. You're like, man, what was that? That was awful.
All right, to wrap it up, I'm just gonna run through offense, defense, for the people that could potentially have their status changed with the team. Jamal, go first, and then Jesse. Just stay or go. Nothing more. Stay or go. AJ Brown, stay or go. Stay. You don't think is any issues with his personality in the locker room?
Nah, I mean that's what every receiver is like that. I don't know one good receiver who don't do that.
Like if you're putting up yards, you don't get traded.
Yeah, I think the only receiver that
AJ Brown was the case where he did get traded.
It's got to be Larry Fitzgerald's the only receiver who's that good, who never complained ever. I think, even though he probably complained at one point. Like it's part of being a receiver. You're a diva. It's like, whatever.
Fair enough. This one should be easy. Devontae Smith extension eligible? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, he's pretty durable for the size and everything like that.
Yeah. He's only missed one game.
The entire game in that loss, but yeah, definitely bring him back.
Cam Jurgens sliding over to center? Yes or no?
I say yes. I think this was our original plan with them because we didn't know when Kelce would retire. So
Yeah. And I think
it's
there's
time
not
to
going to
see
be
it.
a better option available. So I think,
Yeah.
that's your best option. You go for it. Tyler Steen at right guard, 3rd-round rookie this previous year.
I don't know much about guards, so keep
I
them.
feel like they hang on to offensive linemen
Yeah.
just for the
Well, our lineman
desperation.
was good. We were good. So any of them
Yeah.
that want to stay, they can all stay, if you ask me.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Who do you guys think plays 3rd wide receiver for the Eagles next year? Do you think it's Olamide Zaccheaus? Do you think it's somebody like Quez Watkins? Do you think they draft a guy? Do you think they bring in a Tyler Boyd? Who do you think plays that 3rd wide receiver position next year?
I would like it if we drafted a guy to save money in like the second. I don't know what our draft picks, but not like a first or second. Just some fast guy, because all you need if you have everyone healthy, you got Brown, Smith on one side, and you got our tight end on one side. All you need is someone to blow the top off, just a speed threat to go anywhere in the field, so they have to go with them. And then you got to have some kind of hands. It can't be Stone Hands Aguilar. It's got to be a guy who they know can at least catch the ball. You know what I mean?
Once a year, I watch that video of the guy who caught the kid out of the fire. And he's like, I ain't Aguilar dropping that baby.
I've showed that to people who don't even like sports, and I have to set up everything. Like,
yeah, I feel like they'll draft a receiver if they have AJ Brown on a big contract and then they extend Devontae Smith. They got to go draft so they can build other places in the lineup.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I got to agree with you guys. I do know the Eagles have 2 second-round draft picks. I do know that this class is deep in receivers, so there might be an absolute dude ready there at the second round. I personally want to see a slot receiver with good hands, man. Good route running, good hands. It doesn't necessarily have to be a fast guy. If they go that route, you can keep Quez Watkins on as a 4th deep threat. Quez Watkins as a 4th receiver, it's fine. He's going to come cheap. There's nothing wrong with that at a 4th wide receiver spot. I know everybody says he could probably use a change of scenery or he's just not the dude, but at a 4th wide receiver, I'm okay with it. Moving to the defensive side of the ball, Reed Blankenship, stay or go?
Go.
Yeah.
I won't be racist, but white safeties and corners. This doesn't make any sense to me. I don't.
Bro played well.
I know he did play well.
Compared to the rest of the secondary, but I mean, like I said, like you want that safety that's going to be basically the quarterback of the back end there. Like I don't see Blankenship making these like splash plays or creating turnovers. Yeah, he's a secure tackler, but he's not changing the game. He's not turning the ball over.
I'm gonna say keep him only so he can inspire the next white great cornerback.
I say keep him, but only because I think there are more glaring holes on the defense, and I don't think there's going to be obvious solutions to upgrade every position. I think he is a guy that you can rely on to start and be okay. Not perfect, lacks some sort of athleticism, to Jesse's point, not creating the turnovers that we would like to see, kind of like that CJ Gardner Johnson did last year. So maybe on the opposite end, we can get another safety and then move Sidney Brown into this hybrid, small linebacker coverage dude who just hits hard for a safety. I wouldn't be against that at all. Darius Slay, stay or go?
I say trade him. But can we trade him? Is he a free agent or?
I think he's signed for 1 more year.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be tough to trade.
Trade him. Yeah, no, he's just put a 30-year-old corner. They don't get faster.
Once the injuries start kicking in for corner, especially like unless they maybe move him to safety, like they do with some of those guys that are getting up in years that
33.
They can't stay with the young guys. You move them to safety, right?
He should be coaching with Deion Sanders.
I mean, Patrick Peterson was safety for the Steelers, and he had some good interceptions. He was a solid player. Like if you take that corner that maybe gets injured too much, having to play with that number 1 receiver, you put him on safety. They're not in the tackles every single time, but he's smart enough that he could run the defense from back there.
I know Slay's good enough to cover number 1s by himself, but if the rest of the team can stop the 2 to 4 guys, it's like,
yeah.
What are we? And if I stop, I mean, like the number one will catch the ball and Slay tackles him. That's pretty much what he does. He doesn't like interrupt them from catching the ball or anything. But if they catch it, he can tackle them, so they can't go any further. Which
Yeah, for me, I don't hate him as a coverage safety. I don't think he's a good enough tackler to make that transition, in my opinion. There may be some recency bias with his tackling, but that's pretty much the entire Eagles defense. I think Bradbury is very clearly going to get cut.
gotta go.
He's got to retire even at this point. Who's gonna sign him after what we saw?
It started with the Super Bowl. It started with the Super Bowl, and it's just been downhill for him.
It's true, man. Defensive line, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis are obvious locks to return. I think Milton Williams is still on his rookie contract, so he's probably a lock to return. Josh Sweat is locked in long-term. He's a lock to return. One interesting name that may not be a lock to return has 1 year, $15 million, nothing guaranteed on his current contract. Hassan Reddick stays on his current contract, extension, or is traded or let go. Thoughts?
I say we keep him because he hurt Brock Purdy.
Keep him.
He's the only thing we got against Brock Purdy. We got.
Just keep us on for one opponent. I don't even think is on the regular schedule next year.
You just got to do it like Madden, where you trade him to the team right after you play him.
Yeah. I hope we don't extend him, to be honest with you. I think it would not be a good use of cap space. If we keep him on his current deal, I'm fine with it. But I think Nolan Smith is going to fill that role just as well. And I think it's going to be redundant. Why draft Nolan Smith if he planned on keeping Reddick around? I think Howie proved this year, having this loyalty to these old heads on defense is not necessarily play. We put ourselves in a tough cap situation, keeping Slay and Bradbury on. And I think we'd be looking at some of the same, keeping Reddick. There's no harm in letting him go a year too soon.
I say we trade him in Slay for young cap room. young players in cap room.
I think you could probably trade Slay and Reddick to a team like Cleveland and be okay. Cleveland's going to have to move money around with that Watson contract because maybe the worst trade in the history of ever.
Oh my God!
History of anything ever happened ever.
Pretty awful. But
I remember. I think it was Mina Kim's. How do you say her last name? She made a point. It was like it's good that he sucks because imagine if he was good. It was like MVP good, and we had to talk about Deshaun Watson like he's the best. You know what I mean? It's like this is the best case scenario. Is that he sucks and then got hurt. Like perfect.
You want pieces of shit to scumbaggery.
Not to make matters worse, but Stroud also looks like a fucking dude as well.
Dude.
Houston's just like doing chef's kiss every time someone asks them about Deshaun Watson trade.
They're like, I'll tell you all about it.
Let me tell you what we got.
Imagine the Panthers though. Imagine being a Panther fan.
They messed that up, man.
What? We don't even get that number one pick's not even ours. Like that's crazy.
Well, and they were talking shit in the draft where they were saying like, oh, the Texans got the second best quarterback and they traded up for Will Anderson, he had a great game against the Browns.
Yeah.
Went off. Bryce Young played, I think, 6-7 games?
I think he played in all the games.
He played in all the games. He just wasn't good.
It was just bad. I don't think there was injury issues.
Bad. And then it comes out the coach wanted the other guy. Like, gross.
All right, let's lock in picks for the weekend and then bounce. Lions versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I got the Lions because Detroit has suffered enough since the beginning of the Super Bowl. I don't know who they pissed off in 1960, whatever, but that person has finally died. And it's this year, the Lions are going to win it all. This is it. Behind Eminem, they're going to win it all. I'm calling it.
I think the Lions are going to win, but also I think if they do make it to the Super Bowl, they should sign Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson to one-day contracts and get him in the game.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
An important moment of the game too, not like at the end. Like
they
had to go out there and run
the yard line.
Old Barry out there, like
I want to see Barry Sanders do the tush push with Calvin Johnson in the back pushing him.
Yes.
Packers Niners.
Niners. No jokes here.
Yeah.
No
I think the Niners are
jokes.
going to win it, but I feel like Jordan Love is going to keep it close. But I feel like the Packers defense is going to get lit up with all the rushing, especially they let all the rushers go through. And then once you have Christian McCaffrey, he's going to dice them.
I think it's gonna be a high scoring game. I fucking hate San Francisco, and I love the way Love looks. I'm gonna go Green Bay. Bills Chiefs, which should be always entertaining. Bills Chiefs. What do you guys think?
Listen, we've seen this 3 times already. Patrick Mahomes is going to beat him again. Huh?
It's always an Arrowhead, right? So now they're in Buffalo. I feel like the home field advantage is going to even it up. The Bills are not going to, flatline like they did the last few years playing in Kansas City. I think the home field advantage is what's going to push them over the top.
I think the Chiefs are already used to playing in the snow this year since they played in sub-zero temperatures or whatever last week. So they're going to come out and not be fazed by this, how cold it's going to be in Buffalo. I bet you they're going to be like, they're going to be like, it's hot today. Is what they're going to be like.
I'm taking Buffalo. Josh Allen looks too good, and Mahomes doesn't. I'm going Buffalo. Last game of the weekend, Baltimore Ravens versus the Houston Texans. Who you got?
I got Lamar winning this, putting the Texans' dream to an end.
Yeah, go with the home team. Go with the MVP. The Ravens are going to beat them.
I'm taking Houston. I love this Stroud kid. Maybe I'm a bit of a homer for these young cats like Love and Stroud. But Lamar has not proven to us that he can win in the playoffs. And until I see it, I'm not taking him. So I'm going CJ Stroud. Any last thoughts from either of you?
It's going to be Ravens versus the Niners, no matter what happens. I'd love to see the Lions be in the Super Bowl, but I feel like it's going to be number 1 versus number 1 seed.
Boring.
I think it's going to be Ravens versus Lions that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking.
I would love to see Texans Lions. I know that's probably not going to happen. That's not the Super Bowl. I don't think that
it could happen.
I don't think that Jerry Jones is going to let another Texas team go to the Super Bowl.
I don't think he got a choice.
I don't know how much oil money he's going to spend on the referees to keep Houston out of the Super Bowl.
I was going to say, technically, he did do all he could to get another Texan team in there because he just kept Mike McCarthy for another 12-5 out in the first round.
Do that, man.
What can you do? Anyways, one more congratulations on a great career to Jason Kelce, somebody who I've loved watching over these years. Go enjoy retirement, man. As always, I'm Juan Forno. I'll let these guys take us out.
Jamal Banion, I'll see y'all next time.
Jesse Geddes, have a good one.
Go Birds.
Go Birds. Go Birds.